Hi there, welcome to the Rest course. This is session 5. And so far, we've been exploring what it might mean to rest in Jesus. And one of the things we've said is that it's not about doing less things as such. Resting in Jesus is not about having lots of me time and spending your life on a beach. Because Jesus was a busy lad, he was very busy all the time. The key about resting in Jesus, though, is about learning to operate from a place of rest, even when you are busy doing lots of things. Now, it may be that for some of us, we have to enter a place of more rest and doing less things to find that, to then potentially pick it back up again. But certainly the whole idea of resting in Jesus is about you having a place of internal rest. It's about your identity in him. Last time we talked about the prodigal parable in Luke 15, and we said how the elder son was slaving for his father. And yet his dad says, "You're always with me and everything I have is yours." It's almost like dad's kind of sat on a sofa just waiting to be with him. But the older son's rushing around here, there and everywhere trying to do all sorts of jobs to slave for dad. And dad's like, "No, I don't want you to slave for me. I just want you to come and be with me. I want you to sit and enjoy being with me." And us just enjoy that moment. And in this session and the next one, I want to explore some words from Mark's Gospel. And look at rest from a different type of angle. But you remember in session 1 we talked about Jeremiah, and we said in Jeremiah 6:16 there's a verse about standing at the crossroads and calling up the ancient paths and finding a way and walking in it. And I remind you of that because in order to move out of anxiety and tension and stress and rushing and business, there will be some choices we have to make. There will be some decisions we have to make to do something a little bit different. But let's get into the scripture. Mark chapter 4 and verse 35. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let's go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." And the wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and waves obey him." So the first thing in that story is that Jesus says, "Let's go over to the other side." And there is a movement that is necessary to a different place. If we're going to enter the rest of Jesus, it will involve a specific choice that will take you somewhere new. And this is not really about a single choice. It's much more likely to be a series of multiple choices that lead you somewhere. Because it's easy to make one choice on one day, but the type of rest that we're talking about and the type of lifestyle that is necessary will involve a series of choices. Not just for one day, but 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. And that is why it's so hard, because we don't find it easy to make new habits and create new cultures and new rhythms in our lives. But we will have to do something different. A while ago, somebody wrote to me and said, "I've been reflecting on the breakthroughs both personally and professionally and pondering why I feel overwhelmed and realised I am expecting bigger things with my same actions." And of course, that's never going to happen. You're never going to get the same thing by doing a different thing, rather, by doing the same thing. Expecting more and more and more by just doing the same is not going to happen. Now, when I talk about this doing, it's really important I'm really clear about what I mean. Because doing anything in your relationship with Jesus is not about getting him to do something himself. It's not about you earning your way to be accepted by him or for his love to flow towards you. No, Jesus has already done everything necessary for everything to flow towards you. Mercy, grace, peace, tranquility, love, it's all flowing towards you. He has done everything necessary. When I talk about doing something, it's about you being in a place to receive and experience that which he has already done. Because of course, Jesus is a person and he invites you into a relationship. And every relationship takes time and effort, and you get out of it what you sow into it, whether it's with your kids or your parents or your spouse or your friends or whoever it is. You know the reality. If you don't invest in a relationship, you don't get much out of it. Well, Jesus has already invested everything he had into his relationship with you. He can do no more. He's already done it. But if you want to experience the reality of what's possible, you will have to invest in your relationship with him. It says that as they got in the boats, they left the crowd behind. And if you really want to enter rest, you will need to leave the crowd behind, because we are a more distracted and restless people than ever. Most people are aware of the inherent dangers and challenges of a digital social life and of phones and iPads and screens and all that. And yet most people don't really do anything different. So they watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix, or they read books like Stolen Focus and other books that speak and talk of the dangers and how incredibly influential our phones are and the apps on it, and how they draw you in and keep your attention very powerfully. Most people are aware of that. Very few people do something different to counteract those things, though. And that's why we've got to leave the crowd behind, because the crowd is not at rest, the crowd is not at peace. Living life like the crowd won't get you where you need to be. I mean, seriously, how many people do you know who are arrested, non-anxious, presence in the world? And by arrested, I don't mean they've got their feet up all the time. I mean, they're not trying to fix you. They're not trying to make something happen. They're not trying to prove something to you. They're just them. And they're in the world. And they don't carry the same level of anxiety that most people carry. And they don't carry the same level of kind of underlying rushing and busyness and kind of got to make something happen type thing, because they've learnt to rest in who they are in Jesus. Well, if you talk to those people, if you're lucky enough to know one, you'll find that they live life differently than the crowd. That didn't just happen. They did some specific things to live life differently from the crowd, and they got what the crowd doesn't have. Now, of course, I'm not just talking about doing some newfangled idea or getting a dumb phone so you can look smarter than your friends with smartphones, or being different for the sake of it, because the whole point is to leave the ways of the anxious crowd and take Jesus with you. It says in the scripture, let us go over to the side. Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There's something powerful about those words, just as he was. We must take Jesus just as he is, not as we want him to be. Careful we don't take him in our image and in the image of the one we would like him to be, but actually as he is. That we are bold enough and brave enough to take Jesus as he is, just exactly as he is. We must be prepared to receive him as he wants to come to us, not as we want him to come to us. And if you carry on the story, it seems that it was only when the boat was nearly swamped that the disciples bothered to wake Jesus. That might be one of our challenges. Oftentimes we wait till we're overwhelmed. We wait till we feel nearly swamped in life before we call out. In other words, we don't really live with Jesus, but we tend to rouse him in an emergency. We treat him as a magic wand Jesus who's going to come along and fix this problem, fix that problem. But Jesus is not a magician who's going to fix your problems. Jesus is a person who wants to relate to you in deeper ways. So here's the thing. What can we do differently to find the rest we so desperately long for? By meeting with the one who is rest. Maybe we need to carve out some time to be with the one who is rest. Maybe we need to just learn to enjoy life with him, listening to him, sharing with him. Maybe we need to get back into a daily time, or if we've never done so, get back into start a time with God, reading the Word. Maybe we need to meditate, pray, fast, intercede, have times of silence, solitude, intercession, praise, service. Who knows? But I would seriously take some time to ponder and ask and discuss with others, what can we do at this time to experience and receive that which is already flowing towards us from Jesus? It just means taking some time, because it's already there. You don't need to do anything to kind of get Jesus to do anything, as it were. It's already there, but we need to take time to just receive what's there. Again, that picture from the beginning. If Jesus is sat on a sofa, waiting for you to talk to him, what you need to do is just sit next to him and stop slaving away, so you can actually just enjoy being with him, as he loves to be with you. I believe as well that as you do that, there are whole new waves and new ways of interacting with Jesus, new ways he wants to express himself. The scripture says that the disciples were terrified. Think of all the person and attributes of Jesus. Yes, he's Abba. Yes, he's Daddy. Yes, he's Father. He's also the Lion of Judah. He's also the one who, when Isaiah saw him, went, "Whoa, woe is me, for I'm a man of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King." Like, he's that God as well. He's a terrifying, kind of doorpost shaking kind of God as well. But we're not going to experience anything new of him if we're not prepared to sit with him and take him as he wants to come to us. What could you do to spend a bit of time in a new way or a different way with the one who is rest? He's sat ready to receive you. We just need to take some moments to sit with him.